Hi, I'm Annapolis Mayor Josh Cohen with your monthly video update for March 2012, and in this update I'm going to focus on the budget, the proposed fiscal year 2013 budget that I submitted to the City Council. I'm going to hit on a few points, but I want to focus on the bottom line, which is revenues, expenditures, and the impact on our tax rate. The proposed budget establishes spending level of a little over $95 million and revenues a little over $100 million. So there's a built-in $5 million budgeted surplus. The tax rate is going to increase close to 10 cents if the council adopts this budget. And before everyone says, my goodness, a 10-cent increase on the property tax rate, which is currently 56 cents, I want to talk about assessments because just a couple months ago we received our reassessments. Every 3 years in Maryland, properties get reassessed, and properties all across the city of Annapolis dropped in value. The average was 11.7% drop in value. Ward by ward, it ranges from 10.5% to 18.5%. So in terms of the city's tax rate, just to break even and just for the city to receive the same amount of property tax revenue as we did last year, we need to increase the tax rate 7 cents. That's called the constant yield tax rate. So the budget proposes to increase the tax rate 2.83 cents per $100 of assessed value over and above the constant yield tax rate. In other words, a 4.5% increase in taxes. The average home value in Annapolis is $325,000. 4.5% increase on the tax bill comes to roughly $81, $82, and it's going to vary depending on your particular assessment. But that's where things stand. So why do we need to increase taxes, first of all? If you remember, not too long ago, the city was in pretty difficult financial conditions. We had deficit spending year after year, and the way we paid for that deficit spending was not by reducing expenditures or increasing taxes or other fees, but by dipping into our piggy bank, so to speak. And the fiscal year 2011 budget, which is the first budget that I submitted and that this city council passed, we're getting the final numbers back from that year. And what it shows is, for the first time in 10 years, not only did we pass a balanced budget on paper, but we actually lived within that and exceeded the surplus that we had anticipated. So for the first time in 10 years, in fiscal year 2011, we balanced our budget and ended the year with a surplus. Because of that, in fiscal 2011, we began to put money back in the piggy bank, so to speak, rebuild our fund balance. And the fund balance is our cash on hand. That's what we need to get through the year, to make payroll, to pay vendors, and weather the ups and downs of the revenues coming in. We're continuing to focus on that in the current year that we're in now, the fiscal 12 year. The current fiscal 12 budget, we're projecting to end the year with another $10 million surplus, which is just going to go right back into that piggy bank and rebuild our fund balance and bring it up to $18 million. In the fiscal 13 budget that I submitted and that the council's going to be reviewing, I propose to increase the fund balance another $5 million. That's the surplus that I mentioned earlier. And that's really where our piggy bank needs to be. We need to maintain fund balances above $20 million consistently year after year in order to have the cash flow we need. So in terms of our fiscal priorities, our top three are to maintain a balanced budget, which we're doing for 3 consecutive years with this proposed budget. Second priority is to rebuild our fund balance, again, which this budget proposes to do for the 3rd consecutive year. And the third priority is a much longer-term proposition, which is to fully fund our long-term liabilities. Some of them are infrastructure liabilities, for example, sidewalks. The proposed budget, the 2.83 cents of new property taxes I'm proposing above the constant yield, 1 penny of this tax rate increase is going to be designated for a new sidewalk fund. Some of you may remember that sidewalks have been an issue. The city took over the responsibility and liability to maintain and repair them, but certainly in this economic climate did not have the funds to do it. And so the approach that I'm proposing to take is that the city is going to continue to be responsible for repairing and maintaining our sidewalks. And by allocating a penny of the property tax rate for that. We're going to have $600,000 a year on an ongoing basis so we can do a responsible job of that. We're also putting, like I said, $5 million of new money into the fund balance. We're also at a point now where, because we have a balanced budget, because we have surpluses, where we're able to get some breathing room and really start addressing some needs in our budget, where ever since I laid off 33 employees 2 years ago and we've cut back on a lot of spending, we've been doing what we can to get through, but we're not doing the job we need to do, not only to serve the public, but to make sure our internal operations are where they need to be. So this budget proposes 10 net new positions. It includes positions like staff accountants in the finance office. It includes a deputy harbor master for operations, which we've been without for 2 years. It includes a civilian position in the police department. There are several positions it includes, all of which I believe are justified. But as the City Council reviews the budget, the City Council is going to be going through it with a fine-tooth comb, questioning the department heads and making sure that, in their eyes, these expenses truly are justified. The budget also proposes to continue what we've done the last couple years in reducing the number of departments. And in fiscal 13, I'm proposing to merge 2 major departments, Planning and Zoning and the Department of Neighborhood and Environmental Programs. And we're going to call the new department PEP, for Planning, Environment, and Permits. And this is not so much driven by cost savings, though there will be some efficiencies from merging the 2 departments. The major driver in this is management and improving communication both internally among departments as well as externally. And as anyone who's submitted a permit application knows, and I've worked with many, both residents and business people in my 2 years as mayor, we need to do a better job of not only communicating but coordinating the review effort among departments. And by merging these departments, having one person accountable at the top, that is what we need to ensure that we have a coordinated process, that we still do a good job of protecting the character of our town, protecting the environment, while also making sure there's a smooth, user-friendly process for both residents and businesses. So those are a few major highlights of the proposed budget. Finally, I want to talk about solid waste. The City Council last year directed that the administration do a managed competition process for our solid waste. And so the city issued an RFP which covers the entire solid waste stream, which includes residential refuse collection, residential and commercial recycling. It includes yard waste, leaf collection, bulk pickup, and we received several bids back. The evaluation panel recommended going with the full contractor option, which means that the city employees would no longer be in the business of collecting and disposing of solid waste. The second option, which is the option that my budget proposes, is for the city to continue providing the services it provides while still allowing an outside contractor, namely Bates, to provide recycling. In doing that, the city's bid significantly overhauls how the city is going to provide the service. It reduces the number of positions, it changes the route system, it changes the hours. Several of the positions are going to take demotions and pay. In other words, the approach I'm proposing to take squeezes the most efficiency out of doing what we're already doing in-house without taking the, in my view, drastic step of just stopping this service and contracting out what I believe is really one of the most essential municipal functions. In terms of the bottom line, for fiscal 13, the proposed budget, it's going to reduce the annual solid waste fee per household by $48 from $426 a year to $378 a year. That's an 11% savings, and the savings are going to grow in out years. I know the council is going to focus a lot on this, as they should. And really, if you focus just on the dollars and cents, the contractor's option is much cheaper than the city option. But in my view, the lowest cost is not always the best value, particularly since the city is not in business to turn a profit. The city is in business as a service delivery organization. And in just these past 2 years as mayor, we've had some unanticipated events happen. We've had major flooding, we've had hurricanes, we had snowmageddon, we even had an earthquake. And as a municipal local government where we serve 38,000 citizens and millions of visitors a year in this very beautiful but old historic city, there's a lot to be said for maintaining flexibility and maintaining a lot of tools in our toolbox to respond as we need to. A lot of the public works employees are people who not only have chosen to make a career here with the city, but their parents worked here. There's a guy who testified at city council who rides the back of a refuse truck, and his father rode the back of a city refuse truck for 42 years. And so for me, not only in terms of making sure that we're doing a good job at providing service to our citizens, but also in terms of making sure our city government is the type of organization that I want to see for my city, where people want to come to work. Not just white-collar department heads, but blue-collar people who want to come here and make a career here, who live here, who care about the city. I think there's a lot to be said for keeping it in-house, particularly since the Public Works team more than met us halfway, and even by keeping it in-house are going to be able to perform this service at $1 million a year cheaper for the city. So that's the budget in a nutshell. The City Council is going to be reviewing it. The Finance Committee gets the next crack at it. It's chaired by Alderman Ross Arnett and also includes Alderman Dick Israel and Alderwoman Sheila Finlayson. Like I said earlier, they're going to be going through it department by department. They're going to be questioning the department heads, making sure all of the proposed expenses are justified, and making sure that even if they are justified, that they're affordable. Ultimately, there's going to be a public hearing before the full City Council. It has not been set yet, probably in late April or early May. And ultimately, the City Council needs 5 votes to pass it. So that's an update on the budget. You can read the budget online. You can see my State of the City slideshow presentation in full color that really goes into more detail about the numbers and what our liabilities are, both long-term and short-term, what the actual numbers are in terms of budget surpluses and fund balance, things that I love, but probably most people, my family included, could only tolerate for about a minute or two. So, as always, you can reach me in the mayor's office at 410-263-7997. You can email me at mayor@annapolis.gov, and you can visit my blog, mayorcohen.com, and leave a comment. Thank you for watching.